In part 1 we introduced the MegaCD2 with a dead drive and then proceeded to give it some lead. Hello all and welcome back to the corner. Also returning to us is the MegaCD2, which we began to diagnose and repair in part 1. Whilst we didn't have concrete proof to say the laser was bad, the lack of disc spinning right round like a record baby all but indicated what I had initially thought. And so to hopefully repair the unit I have a new laser pickup module. So let's get on and install it. This appears to be a common Sony CD mechanism that is sold as an assembly to other OEMs, and as such is used in various players such as the Denon DCD 2560GL and the Naoki CD Player 4, just to name a couple. This makes finding replacement lasers quite easy and thankfully quite cheap too. To get to the laser module we'll just need to remove this black plastic cover. The two connected wires will also need to be removed, and to do that I'm using a screwdriver to gently lift on the plastic housing rather than risking damaging or snapping them by pulling on the fragile wires. The laser runs along part of the carrying frame and along this metal rod which is held down by two crosshead screws. However, before I can remove it, I thought I might need to remove this plastic seat gear, which is what moves the laser. However, it looked very fragile and I was worried that the small moulded latches holding it in place would break off, so instead I tried to see if I could leave it in place. This didn't work, as even though the rod was removed and the laser was free, the gear was preventing me from actually removing the module from the frame. Seeing no other course of action, I used a pair of pliers on the underside of the gear and applied a gentle levering motion to push it past the retainers. This did the trick and the gear came off with the retainers not being damaged. Though I would say to be cautious, as there are gear teeth on the underside too that could be damaged by removing it this way. With the gear out of the way, nothing was stopping that laser module from coming out freely. Here's the new laser module in its box. It comes from China and its part number is KSS210A. This is a new unit and shouldn't need any gain adjustment. We'll see about that. Here is the laser power gain adjustment potentiometer that I'm talking about. You'll notice that they're set differently, and hopefully this means that it's adjusted on the new part and therefore that we won't have to touch it. The two parts look identical aside from small differences, like the original using brass collet compared to the moulded plastic of the new part. But it rides smoothly, so there's no need to worry there. This fork on the side of the new module is what rides in the metal frame. I just need to slot the metal in between these two posts. Now just to put the rail screws in at both ends again. Before I put the seat gear back on, I thought it better to clean off all this old dirt and grease from around the mechanism. I'm using isopropyl alcohol in this handy blue cup to clean it off. And then I'm using a paper towel to wipe the excess off. Now I'm applying some clear grease to the mechanism so the laser moves freely and won't bind up when seeking. And now the seat gear can go back on. I can connect the wiring back up with the thinner coloured wires going to the white socket and the slightly thicker black and red wires going to the red socket. Just to install the cover. And we're done. Installing the mechanism into the console is easy as most of the plugs are keyed so they can only go in one position. I went to spin the CD around, but then I noticed it was grinding on something, which turned out to just be the CD laser cover not being fully clipped in. Now the CD spins right around. Like before, I'm having to hold the CD drive sensor so the console thinks the drive lid is shut. But we needn't have bothered as it's still not reading CDs. If we go in to have a look at the laser, we can see nothing at all. Clearly, something's not right here. Oh yeah, the anti-static solder blob. You can see on the old laser how there's clearly not a solder blob as it's there to short out the laser for shipping. I'll unplug the laser and let's get the soldering going now. No, there's no need for that. We don't even need solder wick for it. Just tin the iron. And blob is gone. Let's try that test again now. Oh hey, would you look at that, it's spinning now. Oh yeah, controller might help here. And now with a controller. Well, we're doing better than last time. At least it's trying to read the disc now. We might have to make adjustments on that potentiometer after all. So like last time, I'm making small adjustments in both directions to see where the sweet spot of the laser is. Too much power, it will fail to read, but it will also harm the laser. Not enough power and there may as well not be a laser installed. And here's about 20 minutes of adjusting action all sped up for you. And a quick laser clean just on the off chance. Okay, so here's the thing. I can keep adjusting this laser and I can keep cleaning it and I could break out the scope and start looking around the motherboard, but we know that the old laser was bad by the fact that the CD is now spinning when you close the drive lid. However, these lasers come from a generic source somewhere in China. You don't know their quality, and I found that if you tweak the laser, that should get you working, but if that doesn't work, then really you've got a bad laser. And when I was doing the Xbox repairs, I'd sometimes go through 2 or 3 lasers. Rarely, but sometimes. So yeah, I think it's time to get a new one. Just to be sure that the discs are actually good, I tried the same CDs in my MegaCD 1. Until this happened. Alright. Yep, that's crashed. Maybe it just needs a reseat. Haha, good. For a minute then I thought this broke too. Testing it on the MegaCD 2, and yep, it's still not reading. Well, let's just get a new laser in.
3 days later.
Okay, it's a couple of days later and I have a new laser. The wrong one. Okay, it's another couple of days later and I have another new laser in. The right one this time. Just need to remove the mech and do the entire laser swap again. And yes, I remembered the ESD blob this time, in case you were wondering. Let's play our favourite game of Will This Disc Read? Well, now we'll never know as our controller isn't working. Of course. Let's try another gamepad. Which also doesn't work. Really? Ah, games consoles, man. Games consoles. Is this bad luck or is this MegaCD just refusing to work? It's the MegaCD. So why are you not responding to... Hey, back to this again. Let's try adjusting the laser again. I'll try an audio CD just in case. Now at this point I was reaching breaking point, but let's go back to the time that I said and start looking around the motherboard and start looking around the motherboard. So that's what I did off camera, going around inspecting the motherboard and all the capacitors that I had replaced and fixing just a couple of dry solder joints that I had spotted, and also making sure the solder had flowed on both sides of the vias. Well, we replaced the battery, so unformatted RAM was to be expected. Still, it's working, we can finally play games on the MegaCD. Join me in part 3 where we'll clean up the unit and rebuild it ready for it to go back home. I hate electronics.